Hi, I'd like to talk about a problem in Chapter 2. It's called Implementing Cell Phone Overage Fees. And I'd like to look at the problem as the book has it, and then I'd like to implement that program in Raptor. And basically, the requirement says, suppose your cell phone plan allows you 700 minutes a month. If you use more than that limit of 700, you're charged an overage fee of 35 cents for each excess minute. Your phone shows the number of excess minutes that you've used in a month, but it doesn't show you how much your overage fee currently is. So please make a program up that'll do that. You'd like to be able to enter the number of excess minutes and have the program perform the calculation and obviously show you the result. So what do you want to do, and what's the approach to a problem like this? Because there are a lot of problems that are very much like this. Remember, we have input, then we have processing, then we have output. There are typical steps that we go through: input, processing, and output. Well, first, in this problem, you have to make sure you understand the steps. You've got to get the number of excess minutes used. That's the first thing you have to do. After you have that, and that's your input, you have to calculate something, and that is multiply those excess minutes by 0.35 or 35 cents to get the overage fee. And then after you've done the overage fee calculation, you have to display it. And we're going to change this just ever so slightly in our Raptor implementation. So the first thing you have to say is, hey, what do I need to input? And that's obviously the excess minutes. What do I need to do with it, or what's my processing? And that's obviously multiplying it by 0.35 rather, to get the overage fee, and then the output. I would like to echo what was input first. That would be the excess minutes, and then the overage fee, just to make sure that people understand what's going on in the problem and that we didn't make a mistake in our input. So now that you've identified the input, we have the process that must be performed. You can write a general algorithm, right? So the algorithm is get your input, calculate the overage fee, and display it. And again, we're going to display the excess minutes as well. And pseudocode would look something like this. You'd prompt the user for something, and then you'd get that data and store it in a variable. Note that the input statement stores the value entered in the variable called excess minutes. Remember, excess minutes is a camel case variable, and the name really tells you very easily what's going on here and what's being stored here. So again, we're demonstrating that naming variables is very important because it makes it easy for the user or the reader to understand what's going on in the code. So excess minutes is the input. Now Raptor does it slightly different. Again, we'll look at that in a minute. So in step 2 of the algorithm, we have to do a calculation. And we're going to store that result of the calculation in a variable. But let's call our variable overage fee, because again, that's a very self-explanatory name. So I set overage fee equal to excess minutes times 0.035. Some people would consider this a constant. We're not going to do that right now, but in general, this would be a constant. And then finally, in the final step is showing your output, and that would be your current overage fee is, and here I have a $sign. And note, this string is in quotes, and then I print out the overage fee. Note, overage fee is not in quotes. So that's the algorithm implemented in pseudocode. And then when I run it, this is kind of what it's going to look like even in Raptor. Enter the input, and then input it into that variable, do my calculation, and then display the output. And if I look at it, this is kind of what it will look like. We're going to do a little nicer formatting in Raptor as well. We're going to have a decimal point in the sense after the decimal point. The text says this is basically what your flowchart looks like. Remember, in Raptor, these two boxes will be rolled up into one. All right, so I just want to point out a couple of things. There are some differences between the book example and your assignment. Your Raptor flowchart layout is somewhat different from the text. Not much, but somewhat. We format our data, and we're going to use the set precision concept in formatting our data. We're going to echo all our input data, and that means the input data that we get, we're going to print back out so we can be sure that we didn't make errors in input. And then I'm going to have initial comments, and they go right here in the flowchart for every flowchart. Remember, that's required in our homework. So let me take a look at this problem solved, or let's look at it in Raptor. And we're going to prompt the user. We're going to say input something. And I'm going to drag the input box onto here, and it says please save now. Okay. And now I'm going to save that as P01. P01, problem 1 for this assignment. And I'm going to save it. Note after I save it, it's saved right up here with that word. I'm going to edit my input box. And when I do that, this is what I get. And now here's where I'm going to do my prompt. And I've already typed the prompt in because I'm a terrible typist. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to type that prompt in there. Note it's in quotes. Now the next thing I need to do is type the variable where that data is going to be stored, and that data is going to be excess minutes. No quotes. Quotes up here, no quotes there. Input box. All right? So I'll say done. Oh, it doesn't like something. I know what it is. Sorry. Doesn't like my quotes. I type that in Word, and it doesn't like Word's quotes. It's fine now, and I'm going to save it. So here we go. And I'm going to change the size just to get a little prettier. And that's what that looks like. So now the next thing I'm going to do is the calculation. I'm going to say overage fee. And I'm going to edit that. And I'm going to say overage fee equals excess minutes times 0.35. And there's overage fee, that variable name, equals excess minutes, EX, and note that shows up down here, times 0.035. That's 30, sorry, not 0.35, but 35, 0.35. That's 35 cents. I'm saying done. And then finally, I'm going to do two outputs. One output is going to be my echoing what was input. And I don't have that. The number of excess minutes, and then I'm going to do a quote, and then I'm going to do a plus sign, and then the variable name. Excess minutes, and I think I'll make this a capital. And there, I'll save this thing again. And I'll make it 125%. So there's the number of excess minutes. That's my echo. And then I'm going to output the result. And when I output the result is going to look like this. The overage fee is I should make a dollar sign here. I should probably have a dollar sign. And let me make sure those quotes are correct. The overage fee is, and then I'm going to say plus, and then the overage fee. All right, the overage fee is this. And I'm going to save it again. Now somewhere along the line I have to use this set precision thing. And at the top of the flowchart is as good as any other place. So it's going to be a call. So it's the call box. I'm going to drop it there. I'm going to edit it. I'm going to type set. And it's going to give me a couple of choices. And there's precision, and I'm going to tab it. And then I'm going to set the set precision to 2. And I'm going to say done. And this should run now. This should be a good program. So I think I'll use 100 excess minutes like he did in the example. And hopefully we'll get a result of $35. Now here's my echoing the input. And then the overage fee is $35. There's one thing I don't like here. This is right up against the S in minutes. So I'm going to clear this out. I'm going to stop it. I'm going to clear it again. And I'm going to change this thing just slightly. Again, I'm going to give myself a space. I'm going to do that. I'm going to save it. I'm going to run it again. Input the number of excess minutes. OK. And there's my space. And I could do that for the $35 or not. That's up to you. All right, the only thing I have left to do now is to insert a comment. So I'm going to have a comment here. And I'm going to insert the required comment for the homework. And the required comment has to be your name, the date, and 2 lines of program description. And you come up with the lines of program description. All right? And then save it again. It's P01 Raptor. And that's it for this problem. So we did exactly what was required. We said we calculated the excess minutes. We input them, and we calculated the fee. Thank you very much.